Hey friends, what a crazy week we just had in the market. The Fed raises rates, the market tries to dive except for the Nasdaq, which was already up, but looks like we may be getting some traction to the upside. We will see going into next week, but welcome to this session of Trade Your Way to Freedom. Got two great tips for you today and two great stocks that will launch you into the next rally with hopefully some strong profits like we had this week. Hey, let's get into today's session right now. This is Dennis Wilborn, the AutoPilot trader. Welcome to this session of Trade Your Way to Freedom. I've got a whole bunch of both interesting news, good news, bad news. You can decipher it what you will. Have some things coming down, but first I want to say welcome to Anil Parikh. From Delaware, and he represents himself, but he's also a great leader of the Delaware IBD meetup group. And I just want to voice for everybody here, I really enjoyed doing the presentation, Anil, at your group on Wednesday night.
Thank you very much. Everybody really enjoyed it, and more than 70 people were there.
Wow. And so, and I know that sometime this week the video on that will be posted, and so I will share with people on my list how to find and join Anil's group so you can watch that video. I think we covered basically it was how to mastering a routine, both from a strategic place of your strategy and your system, and then also grouping a little bit over into the area of trader psychology and trader mindset. Let's go ahead and jump on today's session. Here's the overview of what we're going to be covering today. We're going to take a look at the market movers, trading tips, and index review, and a stock or ETF pick. So I'll start off really quick with, and Anil, jump in here if you have anything to comment about this. I'm seeing these are kind of some of the market movers that I'm seeing. Okay, the banks continue to be a point or an issue and that people really don't know what to do about. It seems like they want to, the market would like to just take off and go up. It just hasn't done that yet. And so that's one. The Fed did raise the rates by 25 basis points, but then they also signaled that this may be coming close to the end. We have a momentum cycle that appears to be just about ending, and that was a bearish cycle. We're approaching the end of the month, and so we need to be taking a look at the momentum cycle for the month. And on a lot of what I see from a momentum standpoint is everything is still extremely oversold, but looks like it wants to start making the turn to come back up and go back into a more bullish or an uptrend type of position. And when you're talking monthly, that's long-term projections. And then divergences, we're getting a whole bunch of those. I'll show you a couple of them. So of those topics, Anil, what do you think the biggest driver is? Or if you have another driver, you say, hey, this is something that's going to move the market this week, what would that be?
No, I don't have the another driver, but as I said, my system is picking up weekly signals, indices, as well as many of stocks, and that's refreshing.
So weekly signals to do what?
Weekly buy signal. For example, on Nasdaq, it's still weekly buy signal that came a few weeks ago is still intact.
Okay.
And on the other indices, the weeklies are not there yet, but I see it on daily. And if things continue, daily then turns into weekly.
All right, so that's excellent. And if you are joining us over on the YouTube channel, just say aloha. Let me know who's over there. If you have any questions, type it in the chat box. And so let's go ahead and jump into it's really interesting that we're kind of getting similar signals, and I'll show you some of the ones I'm looking at as we're moving forward. And so I love what Mark Minervini says, talking about the key to success in the market is to have a plan and stick to it, even when it is uncomfortable. And we've clearly gone through the uncomfortable stage here of late with the market. But the thing about it is have the discipline to stick it out. And speaking of that, AutoPilot Trading just launched our initial pro trading sessions. And I basically launched this first one. It's a very short training session. It's really, I think it's very excellent. And the reports that I get back from the people who have taken in training sessions so far, that they really enjoy it. It's helped them establish a better routine. So if you're interested in that, there's the link where you can go check it out. And it's called the Precision Entry Points. And I cover the 3 high probability strategic trading signals that I utilize on a regular basis. That's what you can do. And in addition, there's a free bonus video that goes along with this, which is from my experience as a candlestick technician. The candlestick patterns, just the ones you need. And that is a bonus video that goes along with this training. On the index, as we see, okay, here's what we did last year, or basically the last 11 years. And this is what we talked about with Anil's group in Delaware about, the consistency of performance of the AutoPilot trading service. And I'm very pleased with that. Right now, as you can see, we talked about this last week, we're starting to bend I'm glad there's 1 week left in March. I don't know if I'll reach back up to this, the actual projection line of my 40% line, but we have to remember that anytime when you have a P&L, it's going to run around an average. And so just recognize if something goes straight up the average, if everybody sends you a chart and it shows their returns going straight up the average line, really question that as whether or not they're really doing that, because most of the time you're going to zigzag around it. Sometimes you zig down here. Hopefully you get back up to it. And but that's my plan for the year, to hit 40% for the year. And we've come pretty darn close for the last 11 years, hitting about 37% per year. And so this was where we were last week. And as you can see, we were starting to gain on the indexes. The Nasdaq still outperforming everything at up 14%. Really darn, nice move up. Here's where we're at right now. We jumped up to 6%, and Nasdaq is at 16.3, still leading the way. Russell and the Dow are still in negative numbers for the year so far. So let's take a look at the charts. Here's where I want to be chatting just really quickly. And I'm going to use the weekly daily. Please don't get too wonky about that I'm showing the MACD here at the bottom, because I do utilize the MACD. And for the AutoPilot Premium members, we had a good training on Wednesday night. Hopefully, if you weren't able to attend that live, you were able to watch the video on that. And so here's what we're looking at with the spiders. Spiders we've come down, it is retested, and then did a really nice rebound today, back up into, unfortunately, the resistance of the moving averages. At the same time, what we may be getting is a higher low. And if we break out above the 50-day moving average, which is right there, break back out above that and take out that high, we're probably on our way back up to retest the downtrend line. But at the same time, we'll have a really nice new uptrend started across that way. So as long as this trend stays in place, regardless of how slow it moves up that trend line, the S&P is in an uptrend, intermediate or short-term uptrend, still needs to take out these highs to get into a longer-term uptrend. The thing I wanted to show everybody is on the monthly charts, and recognize we still have a month to go, or not a month, but a week to go to complete. But look at the TSI has started, this is a momentum indicator, it started to turn up on the monthlies. And so the last 5 months, we've actually bottomed and then kind of zigzagging. We're in what I call the meat grinder area. And so what you need to do is learn how to make sausage in that meat grinder area. And with the way I do that is I look to buy at the lows and sell at the highs for the time being. But our other longer term momentum indicators, the MACD, look at that. It already had a shift in momentum right there, where it turned from the red to the crimson, and that's indicating the momentum is starting to come back into this. Notice that the momentum, even longer term, is still above the 0 line. So that means it is still in a bullish or an uptrend type of process. And so on the MACD, on the weekly charts, as you can see, we're getting a little bit of a bullish squeeze, but it too has jumped back above the 0 line, which is a very positive indication for the S&P. And let's take a look at the Qs. And on the Qs, similar type situation. As you can see on the Qs, actually acting healthier than the rest of the indexes. It has already broken the downtrend line. It is now in a longer term uptrend, I believe. Intraday, we broke this past high over here, so we've taken out that swing high, and so we could say that, hey, we are back into a longer term uptrend. Draw in some trend lines in there. You can grab this one over here, draw across these bottoms, and just let that be our guide. As long as that trend line stays in effect, we've got an uptrend going. Now we may get a significant pullback back into the moving averages, like we can see over here, may get a pullback in the moving averages. But on the Qs, on the Nasdaq, I'm looking at, if I pull back to the 20-day moving average, that's probably going to be a big buy signal for me. And so right now, we're just getting a bunch of little spinning top dojis driving sideways, and it at the breakout area. So I would say anywhere from 305 down to probably 303, 303.50 would give you a good opportunity to buy into the Nasdaq. And right now, the Nasdaq, remember, is up 16% for the year, and it's really outpacing everything else. Now, with that said, we know that both the Russell, the TNA leveraged ETF for the Russell, along with TQQ, the leveraged ETF for the Qs, always outperforms. And they run fairly neck and neck with how well they do for the year, but both of them have the capability of doing multiple moves every year that when compounded will compound out above 100%, which is excellent. So what do we have going on here? We came down, hit a new low, but at the same time, well within these past lows over here. So we know that there was a bunch of buyers just sitting right down here in these past, in this little pocket over here, where this did a rebound. Not all the buyers who were sitting right here actually fulfilled their buys. So now we get price action dropping down into that zone, and the long tail you see on the bottom there is an indication that buyers have come in and are starting to push this back up. This is not any kind of a reversal signal for the week. However, we may be working on one for the daily chart. As you can see, the TSI indicator has already crossed up to the upside and broken its downtrend. So we have positive momentum flowing into IWM. You look over here at the monthly chart, its MACD is really looking like it wants to crank and break up to the upside. Yesterday, we had a 3-line cluster on the market forecast. And several weeks ago, as you can see, you had an internal momentum shift on the MACD that kind of pushed that back up, basically moved that back up in this direction. Now, if you're a MACD player, you know that when MACD crosses the 0 line, that basically is your kind of green light to be able to trade it. I trade the TSI because and the market forecast simply because TSI gives me the warning signals earlier than the other. Anil, that's what I've got. for the indexes. And as I said, it looks like it could be very positive news, but that news may not really kick in maybe in April, because this has been a weaker March than Marches usually are.
I see about the same things. The one interesting thing is on TQQQ. I had a sell signal in January of 2022.
Okay.
And it remained active all the way until this week. We got a buy signal, and that's very interesting.
Okay. So when did you get your sell signal?
The sell signal was a year ago. It was January of 2022. And for the first time, we got on the weekly, we are getting a buy signal.
Okay. So January 2020, right there.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got your sell signal here.
Yeah.
That's excellent because you've gotten your consolidation pattern underway and it's starting to move up. Yeah, that. And folks, if you're looking at buying something like TQQ, I would look at, well, any type of a pullback in between the 8 and the 20-day moving average. That tends to be a pretty strong level of support and a pretty high probability, low risk area to jump on board. Excellent. Hey, here's our swing trading tip for this week. And something to keep in mind, especially if you want to pull your swing tradings into longer term trades. And the way to do that is, one, be aware that 99% of the biggest winning stocks were above their 200-day moving average before their big move. So 99%, that's pretty significant. Secondly, 96% of the biggest winning stocks were above their 50-day moving average before they started their big move. So how can you take this information and use it in your trading strategy? And that's a question I'll just leave you with for the rest of the, for how you want to take that in consideration. I know when I made the switch to where I'm favoring price action is above the 50 and above the 200-day moving average, my success rate went up dramatically. Where did these numbers come from? They came from your friend and my friend, Mark Minervini, talks about it significantly in some of his books. But that, it speaks for itself. And it is confirmed by Bill O'Neill, who talks about it in his books, How to Make Money Trading Stocks. So now, as I put up the disclaimer, now, Anil, let's take a look at our stocks for today. And you've got some explaining to do, my friend. Okay. So Anil, real early in the morning on Fridays, he texts me a text message and says, okay, here's my stock for this week, right? And so I go, okay. And he sends me this one, GOOG. And so I text back to him. I said, well, did you mean that or did you mean GOOGL? And he says, no, I meant this one. So my question is if you're not familiar with it, because everybody knows about GGOL, this is the Class C stocks for Google or for Alphabet, if you will. So one, Anil, okay, what's the story? Where are you going to buy it? And then why this rather than GOOGL?
To give you a very crisp answer, short answer, last 1 month, my system is picking up something very strange I have not seen before, or maybe it was always there and I was not paying attention. As the stocks are turning around, one that's turning around with strong accumulation distribution, a strong SMR rating, and strong up-down volume ratio. They are really turning regardless of what the comp number is, and that was a surprise to me.
Okay.
But I saw this over and over and over again, and this candidate meets those criteria. And I looked at Goog as well as Google. This one has a accumulation distribution of B+. The other one had less than that, so that's the reason I picked this over the other. There
you go. I mean, and it trades really great. It trades over 14, average. The average trade is 33 million, almost 34 million shares per day. So that's pretty significant. So are you buying it right here?
I haven't bought it yet. I'll probably buy it today around 3 o'clock, about right here. Yeah.
Okay. I gotcha. So yeah, I like that. And so that explains why Yeah, because when, like I said, when you send me that text message, I've gone, yeah, okay, what's missing here? And so, excellent. My stock for the day, and I didn't share this with you earlier, but my stock for the day is just really simple, AT. And ATI is they're out of Dallas, Texas, and what they do is integrated specialty materials and components. And I really like how it came down. It bounced off this breakout level and looks like it's on its way back up. It has a accumulation distribution of a B minus, which, I'd rather have it, higher than that, but we know it's still being bought. And its comp rating is 98. Its up-down ratio is 1.3. And you may ask, well, why does Dennis and Anil provide the up-down ratio? And the reason is that you need an up-down ratio of, what is it, better than 1, because if it's less than 1, it basically means that the stock's not moving very much. It just doesn't have enough oomph to move itself. And so I'm looking, higher, better. And because I like the volatility, but that's the kind of trader I am. ATI, what I'm looking at is I could buy it right here where it's at, but it's right up against the 50-day moving average. What I would do, rather than taking it right exactly where it's at, I could take it where it's at, but I know that's a level of resistance. And I could put a stop loss just immediately down below the low of today. And so about a 4% stop loss, and that would be fine. Or I can put in an order on Monday, or to trigger on Monday, just drop down a little bit. And the reason I like it to pull back a little bit is because then that way it can spin up some more momentum to break through these 1, 2, 3 levels of resistance and then it propel it on its way. So Anil, this is what I'm looking at. It's got earnings coming up on the 3rd of May. What's your system tell you about this?
It's an interesting situation here. The buy signal on this stock actually came on the weekly triple screen system in August last year.
Okay, so right here.
It is still intact.
Okay.
And currently it's pulling back down. So on the daily triple screen, actually, we have a active sell signal.
Okay.
As you said, we are finding support. So if that support holds, it will, it's a nice candidate to buy.
Okay. And I'm looking for support at either here. Now, if that fails there, where's my next level of support? Well, it's back here at the breakout area where we've seen it broke out, came back and tested it numerous times. So at $34 would be my next one, next area of support to be able to buy into. Well, those are 2 great stocks, Anil. I'm really pleased with those. We'll see if the market plays along next week. And so, but that's basically all we have for today. I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and thank you for joining us over on the YouTube channel, even though you didn't let me know who's over there, guys. Come on. Anyway, Anil, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll be looking forward to chatting with you in the near future. And so remember, everybody, 2023 continues to be a breakthrough year for us for consistent trading success. So aloha, trade well, and prosper. And mahalo. God bless everybody. We'll see you next week. Thanks, Neil.
All right. Thank you.